Welcome to Crisp Tutorials, where we keep it short, simple, and to the point. Today's topic is why the name Cascading Style Sheet. Any web application is made on top of three cornerstones. First cornerstone is HTML, which determines the structure of your page. The second cornerstone is CSS, which determines the look and feel of the page. And the third cornerstone is JavaScript, which determines the behavior of the page. Now CSS is the easiest of the three cornerstones, so we'll start with CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. So style sheets, I understand. It is something which adds style or look and feel to your page, and that is why it is a style sheet. But what is cascading? What does it even mean? Well, in plain English, cascading means to fall down through levels. For example, this might be a mountain, and waterfall falls down over the rocks of the mountain and then meets the sea. So here the waterfall is said to be falling down the cascades, or the waterfall is cascading down the rocks. So cascading means to fall down through levels. Or another use is in big hotels, sometimes they have cascading waterfalls. How are they made? These are tanks filled with water. This is tank 1, this is tank 2, this is tank 3. They are placed one below the other. When this tank completely fills with the water overflows into this tank. Then when this tank gets completely filled, then it overflows into this tank, and so on. So this is called as a cascading water fountain. So in short, cascading means to fall down through levels. Now let's see this, that why CSS has achieved this name. Well, in CSS, rules can be applied at three places. First is inline HTML rules. Like for example, this is a header tag. I can simply write style equal to color colon red. Then my header and the header tag closes. So this is called as an inline rule. Inline HTML CSS rules. Second way of giving CSS rules is in the style tag. The style tag can be included in the header or in the body of the HTML page. Third way of giving CSS rules is in a separate file, say style.css file, you may mention all the styles for various selectors, means for various elements within the page, and then finally you can include this style.css file into your HTML file. So these are the three ways in which you can define CSS rules. Obviously, in a large application, by mistake or sometimes even intentionally, designers give mutually contradicting rules at different places. At that time, cascading feature of style sheets is used. The cascading rules of the style sheet come into play, and then finally it is decided that which of the rules actually takes precedence and which rule actually governs the UI. So it depends upon the cascading rules of the CSS, and hence CSS is called as cascading style sheets. So let's explain this with an example. Let's take an example. Here we have a header tag, say heading, and CSS rules are applied at three places. Once here in the style attribute of header, this is called as inline CSS rule. Other two rules are applied in the style tag. All these three rules are mutually contradicting. In the inline HTML CSS rule, it is said that the header should be shown in red color, whereas in the style, the first rule says header should be green, while the other rule says the header should be blue. So which color should the header really take? Any guesses? Well, the answer is it should take red color. So why did it take the red color and not green and blue? The reason is any style which is applied in the HTML inline style always takes more precedence as compared to the styles shown in style tag or styles given in style.css file. So always the HTML inline CSS styling rules take more precedence than style tag or style.css file. So let's delete this for a moment. Now in this case we don't have any inline CSS style, but then we have two contradicting styles in the style tag. Now what do you think? Which color should the header take? Should it be green or should it be blue? Any guess? Well, here the answer is blue. The reason is, in case of contradicting CSS styles, whichever style is mentioned at the end presides over whichever styles are mentioned before it. So in a nutshell, blue, since it is mentioned at the end, overrides green. So as expected, the header is shown in blue because blue has overridden green. But wait a minute, I can play a trick here. Let's say I encapsulate this into a div. Okay, so far the header is still blue. Now, if I just modify this rule and make it a little more specific, I'm saying that only headers inside a div tag should be shown in green. Whereas in this rule, I'm saying all the headers, no matter where they come in the page, should be shown in blue. So this rule is more specific as compared to this rule. So in this case, what do you think? Should the header be green or should the header be blue? Well, here the more specific rule always presides over the less specific rule. Although the less specific rule is mentioned at the end, it is not able to override this rule because this is more specific. So let's see. Yes, now the header is green. But there's another trick, and many designers like this trick. At any point in any rule, if I just say that this rule is important to me, then CSS cascading rules are designed in such a way that important rules are always having more importance than any other rule. So here the header should be in blue. Even if you would have given an inline style over here like class equal to, style equal to color red, even in that case important CSS rule always presides over it. So important CSS rule will always preside over either inline CSS rules or those rules which are mentioned in style tag or in style.css file. So let's see, this should still be in blue. Yes, it is in blue. But what happens if I mention both these rules as important? Well, In this case, since both the rules are of the equal importance and this rule is more specific as compared to this rule, the more specific rule always takes precedence, as we saw earlier. So this time the header should be shown in green. So as you can see, which rule of CSS gets finally applied onto the UI largely depends upon the cascading rules of CSS, and that is why CSS is called Cascading Style Sheets. This is where CSS derives its name from.